to escape the hustle and bustle of life in Lake City, to explore new frontiers like their forefathers and foremothers did so many years ago.
We call this the Westward Ho program, and all year long we study the westward movement through the United States and the pioneers and their hardships and trials, and so this makes the pioneer come to life to come out here in our covered wagon and spend the night cutting our own wood and cooking our own food and just doing as much as we can like the pioneers would have done it.
And it didn't take long at all for these kids to realize being a pioneer wasn't all fun and games.
But we have to do it off the land, and it's hard because you have to go out and wash your hands in the lake or in a well. And you have to drink out of a pump instead of out of a sink. We have to gather water and build a fire and bring food. And
it's not quite a piece of cake. It's a little bit easier than, roughing out like caveman did, but you're still doing it pretty tough, and you got to gather stuff.
And even though they'll eat a little better than cavemen and enjoy a few modern-day luxuries, Mrs. Mottman says the hard work helps them appreciate what the pioneers had to go through. And when they pack up the covered wagon tomorrow and head for the showers, the microwave, and the Nintendo, a little piece of history will be carried with them forever. David Parrish, Newswatch 7 and 4, Missaukee County.
For Northern Michigan, this is Newswatch, 6 p.m. edition.
Good evening. Ludington's connection with Wisconsin is back in place. The car ferry is running again.
The car ferry, which is the key to Ludington's tourism lifeline, had been shut down for a year and a half, but now it's up and going, ready to carry an estimated 80,000 passengers across the lake. The TV7 and 4's Dave Parrish has been in Ludington today and not on the car ferry, and he joins us now live for a report on new life for the car ferry Badger. David?
Thanks, Jerry Marine. Well, as you can see, the ferry's gone now. Earlier, more than 1,000 people had showed out here to bid bon voyage to the Badger and its renewed maiden voyage. And with everything going on here today, there's quite a story to be told.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a historic trip that started from a western Michigan port aboard a big black ship. The owner was a proud and rugged man. Miss Michigan never looked cuter. 500 passengers set sail this day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
It's like the Love Boat, only colder.
Once on board the Badger, passengers today were treated to an incredible view, fabulous music, great food, and a lot more.
We were on the boats about 2-3 months ago, and at that time, of course, the boat was really under renovation, but the lounges are vastly improved, and of course, the whole boat's really been spruced up.
But all of this luxury didn't come easy. Ferry officials say this last week has been an incredibly busy one.
Converting and retrofitting a ship like this is something that it's a very big job. It was really a shipyard job, but the really incredible story here, we think, is that a lot of that work was done right here in Ludington. Many of the local contractors and local business people have contributed to this effort, and it was that kind of effort, along with the crew of the Lake Michigan Car Ferry Service, that's making this day possible, and we're just pleased as punch.
And everybody involved here today just really lucked out. The weather was perfect, conditions were perfect. Everybody just had a fabulous time. The boat just left about half an hour again for its second journey today, and the crowd was just as excited as the first one. Jerry Marine?
Dave, glad to see you and Gilligan got back from your 3-hour tour. What was it like out there in Lake Michigan today? Nice day, huh?
It was fabulous. It's more like a carnival cruise than it is riding on a ferry boat, something primitive like that. It's really exciting. The boats have such a change since last time it was in operation, Jerry.
Well, it's a tough job, but somebody had to do it. Thanks for that report, Dave.
That's right. This is working.
Okay. Well, several hundred people could be living in my camera
For Northern Michigan, this is Newswatch, 6 p.m. edition.
Michigan's first AIDS disclosure violation case will not go to trial. Good evening. Jeffrey Hanlon has entered a plea of no contest in Lake County Circuit Court.
As TV7 and 4 first reported last Thursday, Hanlon agreed to a plea bargain arrangement. The TV7 and 4's Cadillac Bureau Chief David Parrish joins us now live from Cadillac. And David, we understand the plea bargain came after several days of negotiations, and one of the major considerations was the impact on the victims in this case.
Jerry Marine, if convicted, Hanlon would have faced up to 4 years in prison and a $2,000 fine. Now, with the plea agreement, he'll be getting credit for the 7 months he already served just waiting for trial, and he may be getting out just after 5 months. Even so, officials in this case say the decision was made to benefit the victims.
Mr. Hanlon, what in fact is your plea to the charges against you?
Jeffrey Hanlon submitted the plea of no contest without batting an eye this morning, knowing that in 2 days he may still be given a jail sentence on top of the 213 days he's already served. But as Judge Cooper today accepted the plea, with only Hanlon's mother and a handful of witnesses present, including HIV-positive victim Patrick Archer, it became apparent the decision wasn't intended to make things easier for Hanlon, but to spare the other 7 witnesses in this case, quietly represented today through symbolic red ribbons, additional torment and grief and humiliation through their forced testimony.
You always have to remember that once you're a victim, that you come into court to testify to prevent someone else from being a victim, not to change anything that's already happened to you. And because of that, that's asking quite a lot for any victim in any criminal case. I guess that's why there's prosecutors, because victims would just as soon get it over and behind them.
Patrick Archer says he appreciates that rationalization and therefore is pleased with the plea bargain.
I think that it was fair to the victims that were involved in this. We had one of the victims that was going to testify through a subpoena was contemplating suicide. And I think that it's better that his life and his privacy has been maintained, even though mine and Kevin, the prosecuting person, our lives have been devastated by all the attention, and everybody in the area knows who we are and what the story is in our lives. But I'm glad that we were still able to maintain the other 7 people's privacy.
Hanlon will receive his sentencing Thursday morning. Jerry Marine?
Dave, when the plea bargain was first announced last week, it included some mandatory psychological help for Hanlon. Now, is that still the case?
Yeah, for both the prosecution and the victims, that was the most important thing to them. They really didn't see a benefit to Hanlon sitting in jail all this time. It wasn't helping him out at all. So they're happy, even though he may be getting out of jail very soon, he will be getting psychological help right away, and that's important to him.
Okay, he's going, well, he will be able to go back home to New York eventually, but
that's right, exactly. He'll be on probation and they'll be checking on him, but he will be getting psychological help.
Okay, thank you for that report, David.
Thank you.
Dentistry has been heavily impacted by the AIDS epidemic. Dentists and dental hygienists are now so gloved, masked, and covered with protective clothing you can hardly recognize them when they clean your teeth. And now some network news stories apparently have patients upset. A Houghton Lake dentist says the stories aired last Thursday exploited alleged inadequate sterilization of dental hand tools. He says he has invested a lot of money in new sterilization equipment.
Turn around these in 6 to 9 minutes. And it's a simple technology today that we have in dentistry does in fact sterilize hand pieces. We do heat sterilize them, which is the crux of the program that was aired Thursday night. And we've had an awful lot of calls from people asking about it, and I thought maybe we would at least view the dentists that are up to date. Basically, we treat every patient like they have AIDS, and that way we won't have anyone getting AIDS.
Well, anyone with questions about sterilization should ask their dentist about the precautions that they take. Maureen?
The body of a murdered...
Good afternoon. It's Thursday, May 28th. I'm Dave Walker, live at 5. Stray voltage. It's what happens when too much power goes through an outdated power system, sending electricity into the ground. It's a growing problem for some dairy farmers. Cadillac Bureau Chief David Parrish joins us live from Cadillac, first at 5. And David, you say that a Remus family is having problems with stray voltage?
That's right, Dave. And the problems with the Leonard family may have started as long ago as 1987. That's when they first noticed their cows stopped eating, drinking, and resting on the ground like they really should. They found out a few years later it was because of stray voltage, which was sending a current through the soil, the cows' water, and everything they touched, keeping them in a life of constant pain and cutting their milk production in half. The Leonards solved the problem last year by hiring an electrician who installed new insulators and a copper loop in the ground to absorb the excess power. But now they've learned the power company doesn't like what they've done and plan to return the situation back to the way it was, which should start the problems with the cows all over again. Dave?
David, I'm wondering, is stray voltage a health hazard to people as well as animals?
Well, with the Leonard family, they've all complained, and since they first noticed the problem, they've had headaches, insomnia, irritability, and a rash that just won't go away. And I've talked to electricians, they said they're all symptoms of stray voltage.
And why does the power company want to go back to the old system?
Well, from my understanding, when the electricians came in and altered their system, it affected everybody else down on the same line, and they were all getting much larger power bills and things like that they didn't think was normal. The power company just wants to get things back the way they were.
David, do you know if they've discussed or explored any other corrective options?
As far as corrective options, it's hard to tell. The power company was supposed to come in today and talk to them and start reversing things. They found out that TV 7 and 4 was going to be there, and they changed their mind, so it's been difficult talking to them.
Okay, so we might see a little more on Newswatch at 6?
That's right.
All right, David Parrish, our Cadillac Bureau Chief, thank you very much. Many area crops have been severely damaged by at least 3 recent